I love being asked about what I do, but I always have to gauge who's asking me. Because depending on who I'm talking to, I change my answer. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. It's just that growing up as a first generation Indo Canadian, I would often give highly detailed explanations to aunties and uncles, which would usually result in really confused looks. So to that, I would just tell them, I work with computers, just to see the look of relief glaze over their faces as I use words that they're more familiar with. Ah, yes, that boy. He works in IT. I know what he does. So for the rest of you here today, I would love to share something with you that I wish was easier to describe. We communicate through words, just as I'm speaking to all of you right now. But we also communicate through a different language, a secret language, a language called design. The ability to communicate something through a picture is one that I believe is magic. It's a universal ability that we all understand how to express, but is never taught. Consider the following image: an arrow, 3 simple lines that come together to form a point, an abstraction of a traditional fletched arrow that would be shot from a bow. But now, it carries out new meaning, one that is so deeply ingrained in our visual understanding that we decipher it instantaneously. A preschooler could probably tell you what this is. It can convey details, direction, emphasis. These lines can enrich your understanding. And most importantly, this arrow can help you assemble IKEA furniture incorrectly 2 times. Let's compare that to this set of arrows. Yes, these two could be called arrows, but there's something different about them. They communicate a swooping motion, a twisting action, perhaps a rotation. These arrows attempt to communicate something beyond the obvious. The act of taking a fundamental idea and changing its form to create new meaning. I believe this to be one of the simplest definitions of creativity. And this idea can apply to all design thinking, whether it's an arrow or an object. Everything tells a story to us based on our own past experiences. The story behind each object is a big part of our connection with that object. What can we infer from a shape? Something that is true, but not necessarily said. I want you to start seeing things through the designer's eyes and find the subliminal messages. Peel back the layers to find the subliminal messages that artifacts are telling us. When you start doing this, then you too will have what fell upon me. You too will have the designer's curse. It all began when I was a child. I used to collect twist ties from grocery stores to create figurines. I would trace paper Happy Meal bags against the window, using the sunlight as a way to backlight the artwork and trace it from the other side. This isn't far off from the drafting tables that I later learned how to sketch on during school. Back then, my favorite TV show was Art Attack by Neil Buchanan. It was an amazing show developed for children, and it showed them about all kinds of art projects that they could do at home. I call this YouTube tutorials before YouTube existed. And it was in front of this TV that I was following along with these. My first set of crayons from preschool, a prized possession that I still have to this very day. And they never wavered in value to me, as they aren't far off from the tools that I use professionally today. I actually used these crayons to illustrate the arrows earlier in this TED Talk. When my wife asked me what I was doing, I told her I was playing with my crayons. These crayons taught me how to create an image that meant something to someone, to the outside world. Examining them closer, I realized that they were built with function in mind. The box is wider than the included 8 crayons to allow space between each stick for a small hand to pick up. The crayons themselves were wide enough for a child with developing motor skills to be able to grasp and use easily. They're made of soy for those who are so inclined to taste the rainbow. They could do so in a safe manner, it wouldn't hurt them. And the box lid would come off, allowing you to lay the colors out in front of you. Easy to choose which to pick and to share with your friends. I swear this is not a commercial for crayons. It's just that re-examining an object from my past 24 years later has brought me to new conclusions about them. Later in life, during university, I took a Foundations of Design course at Emily Carr University of Art and Design. It was taught by Roman Izdebski. He had taught at that university since 1989, so I knew he really knew his stuff. Unfortunately, Roman is no longer with us today, but there is something that he taught us that stuck with me, and I'd like to share that with you. He made the point that all good design has 3 things. It has form, functionality, but above all, it has this 3rd thing, delight. He made the argument that if your design does not tick all 3 of these boxes in somebody's mind, that you did not have a full success. This blew my mind because it changed the focus from what was physical and what was functional, and it brought it into what was the emotional. How does this make someone feel? This speaks to the idea of the designer's curse for me. I began re-examining objects around me that I've had forever, and in doing so, I could find the subtle details that make that design a success. And if I could understand those successful elements, I could weave them together to create new designs that have new meaning. What makes something valuable to us? What makes us appreciate it? With that in mind, let's look at this object, headphones. There's something that all of us use almost every day. They wirelessly transmit music to our ears. But there's something about the form that's clearly a considered decision. It allows it to get in and out of my pockets without catching on anything. It has a tactile hinge, which allows me to feel whether it's open or closed without looking at it. There's a light on the surface, which communicates the status of the headphones without saying a word. When we start seeing things through the designer's curse, we start to notice all the little things that might have gone unnoticed. Doing so enhances our understanding of it. It enhances and reinforces our value in it. Now, I work as a senior technical illustrator at a technology company here in Vancouver. My job requires me to take complicated ideas and present them simply. I use 3D modeling, real data, and my design background to handcraft images that convey meaning. But after those hours of the day have passed, I focus on my own business, one where we design and create custom wedding invitations. It allows me to work with people one-on-one, bringing character and their emotions, projecting that into something that they will cherish forever. It's a design challenge, a creative challenge, that leads to deeper connection over just a single piece of paper. I realize now that as a kid, I put such emphasis on creative activities because they were fun. But more importantly, they taught me peace, patience, and understanding of the world around me. Now, as we walk through the streets, we're being constantly bombarded by visual stimuli. We pass by storefronts filled with electronics, housewares, accessories, and malls, clothing, shoes, all kinds of objects. Even in our own home, as we cook dinner, we reach for utensils, forks, knives, pots, pans, even your favorite mug. All of these objects have made their way into our life because they've told a story to us. Things that we have not intentionally chosen, but we seldom stop to think about it. So, my challenge to all of you here today is to start thinking about all of it. Look at these designs, whether they be intentional or otherwise. Peel back the layers that make each of those things functional or emotional. Look at everything you encounter again, but this time with a critical eye. Find the sublime details. Find what makes you appreciate it. Find the connection. And when you start doing that, you will know the universal language that we all understand how to express, but is never taught. You too will have the designer's curse. Thank you.